Did you know that there's 3 different types of sea salt that exist? And one of these ways makes up less than 1% of the entire sea salt industry. Hi, my name is Charles Barber, and I am founder and formulator at Crucial 4. And today we're going to be talking about sea salt and the different types of sea salt and how they're harvested. Most sea salt is harvested in what is known as salt pans. And this is basically seawater that's brought inland, usually in coastal areas, and there's these small like salt pans, if you will, and the natural heat of the sun evaporates the water out of the sea salt, leaving you with sea salt that you can actually harvest, right? And this is the majority of how sea salt is harvested. And when you look at our mMinerals, this is exactly how we are actually harvesting this sea salt, and it's hand harvested. What makes mMinerals special though is that there's a vein, an ancient seabed vein, that this salt that we get from these pans comes from, and it's connected to Antarctica. I'm not gonna go into any more details into that, just wanna kind of elaborate that, because this is how most sea salt is harvested. So when we look at sea salt like Celtic sea salt or just majority of the sea salt on the market, this is typically how it's harvested. Again, it's basically salt pans that are like naturally occurring, and man's kind of came in and retrofitted it, if you will, to make it work for their operation. But this is how most sea salt is harvested. Now, the second most common way that sea salt is harvested is known as inland sea harvesting, where it's actually mined. And these are ancient seabeds that have dried up that are actually not in coastal areas. Usually these areas are way farther inland than typical coastal areas that have these naturally occurring salt pans. Now, the difference with this type of sea salt is that it has to be mined. So you basically have to get machinery involved. And I don't like this type of sea salt because you have to use machinery to get to it. And typically when you're inside these salt mines, you see what's called salt veins. So it's not like you go into these salt mines and there's sea salt everywhere. And we'll get some pictures here to kind of show you guys, some B-roll here to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. But basically you have to use big heavy machinery to mine these sea salts. A lot of companies also use dynamite. A lot of the Himalayan rock salt, which is a little different because that's still mined salt but doesn't come from the sea. But even some of this mined sea salt, they use dynamite. This will contaminate your sea salt. And the other thing that I don't like about mined sea salt, other than the machinery that's used, which I feel like contaminates the sea salt as well, because you got to think there's diesel fumes going off into these mines. There's these, machines are using metals that, they're not food grade metals. They're just these big machines to like grind and chunk all this rock. But the thing is that you're harvesting a vein of sea salt from this mine. So you're surrounded around sedimentary rock, or rock that you wouldn't want to eat. This rock can get inside the sea salt. That's why some salt is red. This sea salt brand? This is a mined sea salt. And I opt out of that brand of sea salt because it does contain contaminants that aren't naturally occurring in pure sea salt. And I would prefer pan harvested sea salt over mined sea salt any day. Now, if you're doing a crazy extraction, or even if it's not crazy, but just an extraction that is safe with inland sea salt, I do see some potential there. However, if I have to choose, I'm gonna choose the next type of sea salt. And that, my friends, is known as mSalt. And mSalt is our Icelandic sea salt. And what we do is we take the pure, pristine waters of Iceland and we actually bring that water into our own man-made salt pans. And the beautiful thing about harvesting sea salt this way is that we can go to an area where we have the cleanest waters in the world, and before we even bring that water into our salt pans, we can filter it. And that's exactly what we do. We filter that before it even gets into our salt pans to make sure that there's not microplastics or other contaminants in the salt. And since we're in Iceland, we have geothermal energy. So it's cold in Iceland, right? We use that geothermal energy to evaporate the water out of the salt that's coming from the ocean in Iceland. And this is why this product is a premium product, why it's the most nutrient dense product, and why it's the cleanest product in the world. And that's naturally why you guys love it as well, right? You guys have seen the heavy metal testing on it. You've seen the nutrient density testing on it. So we're all rest assured that we know we're getting the purest, cleanest, most nutrient dense sea salt in the world. And these types of different sea salt harvesting vary across the industry. And I just want to take this time to educate you guys on the 3 different types of sea salt and how they can exist in the marketplace.